Donald Trump and the Republican Party absolutely face-planted this week, and it's the best Christmas gift I could ever imagine. So let's recap Donald Trump and the GOP's epic fails from this week. I'm Josh Halen, the Weekends over here on Ring of Fire, and we're going to start with the surprise address, supposedly to ease economic anxieties. Did it work? Of course not. Inflation staying stubborn, consumer prices don't cooperate, and the fact checkers on both sides lit the speech on fire using the administration's own data. Turns out that yelling about statistics doesn't lower your grocery bills. What did stand out to me, though, was the delivery, the pace, the breathless machine gun-like rambling. And of course, last weekend, Donald Trump quipped about his Adderall use. And this speech, I'm telling you, sounded exactly like what happens when you confuse speed with substance. He wasn't reassuring the country. He was cramming for an exam he never studied for. They didn't hear calm leadership. They just heard a rambling man talking faster and hoping no one noticed the numbers weren't moving. And no amount of Adderall is going to turn spin into solutions or noise into economic relief. You can talk faster, but inflation doesn't. Then we go to Indiana, where Trump was trying to jam through another mid-decade congressional redistricting scheme, and it was so blatant that the Republicans were getting really nervous about it. And finally, the GOP lawmakers said, no thanks. We're not going to light ourselves on fire before a midterm. When your own party starts killing your plans because it's too nakedly anti-democratic, that's not strength. That's a radioactive fail. So then, Trump tried to appeal to a wide swath of the country, floating an executive order on marijuana. Sounds like a good idea. But then he immediately panicked because the House Republicans have revolted. It turns out the party of states' rights really hates states doing the things that voters actually want. Watching the Republicans demand that Trump reverse himself on weed is like watching a dad argue with his kids over whether 3 Big Macs and 7 Diet Cokes counts as a healthy dinner. Nobody's in charge here. Then we saw even more midterm panic. Florida started pushing back on Trump's plan to expand offshore drilling because nothing screams winning coalition like threatening the tax dollars from tourism, fishing, and coastal property values in an election year. When your allies in the craziest state in the union start to fight you, you better back off before they start reaching for the bath salts. Then we look over in MAGA world generally. And man, on the heels of that creepy CBS Erica Kirk town hall, Turning Point USA kicked off with open infighting, shouting matches, and factions melting down on the very first day of their conference, their gathering. Nothing says a disciplined movement like conservatives screaming, Trump loves me more. No, I'm Trumpier than you. I absolutely love to see it. And of course, you can't go anywhere without talking about the Epstein files. And the White House this week absolutely panicked. A House oversight memo leaked this week with talking points showing Republicans how to talk about the Epstein documents and how to shift the blame away from Trump. It wasn't release the records, not tell the truth, just instructions on how to redirect attention. And look, when the subject is a convicted trafficker who abused minors, and your first instinct is to massage discipline instead of transparency, that's not politics, that's moral rot. And this wasn't cleanup after a bad news cycle. This was preemptive spin, drafted in advance because they know voters are going to draw a hard line when it comes to exploiting kids. And nothing screams we're in trouble like a coordinated effort to dodge accountability before the questions even land. Then, to help cover his trail, Trump is openly escalating tensions with Venezuela. Because apparently we needed just another international mess to make us look great on the world stage. Trump claims that he might tell Congress about his land invasion if he does it. Of course, voters love inflation, instability, and the vague sense that the president might do something at 2 a.m. because he's bored and covering up the release of the files. And you know, Trump promised to release the boat strike videos. Then he didn't. Then he acted like he never said it out loud. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth is sitting on footage that appears to show serious violations, war crimes, and he's refusing to release them. So now, Republicans in Congress, not just the Democrats, his own party, is forcing transparency through their defense spending bill. When your own party has to pry evidence out of your hands because you won't tell the truth, that's not strength. That's not leadership. That's panic in a uniform. At least, Hegseth is giving us more and more evidence for the inevitable impeachment and, God willing, war crimes trial. And speaking of the military, the president's $1,700 warrior dividend, $1,776, is simply taking money already allocated for military housing, sending it to the military families, and taxing it. Merry Christmas, here's your own money back, now with 100% more Trump and 30% less of your money. Old Bone Spurs sure does love his military. Then, we continue to see Trump's bid to make the White House look more like a Mississippi casino buffet, with Trump putting plaques of a presidential walk of fame all over the White House, complete with petty plaques full of name-calling and childish Trump-centered comments. Self-branding, monuments to himself. That's really going to play well with all the swing voters. They love a president that thinks that gold spray paint is infrastructure. His childish love of himself then spilled over to our beloved arts. He installed a new board over at the Kennedy Center, and they unanimously, while silencing all dissent, renamed the beloved venue, calling it the Trump Kennedy Center. Something they literally can't do because Congress controls the Kennedy Center. So while the donors are fleeing, tickets aren't selling, just like the Department of Defense, call it what you want, Trump will thin skin over there. You're never, ever going to come close to being half the man JFK was, no matter what you call a building. And of course, we know all about the backlash and well-deserved ass-kicking that Trump has taken from both sides about his callous Rob Reiner comments. And all of this has an impact. All of these losses of the week have an impact. His approval rating is tanking, including on the economy, which was supposed to be his one trick. And Republicans are now scrambling over mail-in voting rules and anything they can do to help save midterms, which is exactly what you do when you're confident and you believe in your leader, right? And now, multiple reports this week are showing Republicans are openly discussing how to distance themselves from Trump before the midterms. Not quietly, not subtly, loudly, publicly, and desperately. When your own party starts treating you like your embarrassing old Facebook posts from 2016, you are already cooked, my man. Trump's old strategy of throwing so much nonsense at the public that no one can keep up is backfiring. Instead of dominating the news cycle, he's exhausted, rambling. He's low energy, at least until the Adderall kicks in. The cognitive decline is obvious. The volume's still there, just with less coherence. And this is the key part here. Every chaotic idea, every contradiction, every meltdown, he's doing our work for us. This isn't a movement on the rise. This is a guy who's burning his political capital in real time. Because when your opponent insists on tripping over his own shoelaces every single week, you don't interrupt him. You let him keep talking. You let him go on primetime TV because the truth is going to do the work for us. And that's why we're going to keep winning. So yeah, this holiday season, laugh a little. Take the wins. And say thank you, quietly, over the holidays, and hope that Trump and the GOP keep up the good work. Thanks for watching that video. Be sure to like and share it all over the place. And then during the week, catch Jared. I'll be back next weekend with more Ring of Fire weekends. Be sure to like and subscribe.